Hi, welcome back. It's part two. Let me turn down the air here a little. It's part two of my Talk Tuesday on volunteering. Excuse me. And yeah, so I found myself in Switzerland, which is a wonderful place. Excuse me. But they have. They are, at the time when I got there, I think it's a bit better now, but they weren't very flexible about foreigners coming and working. And even though I got married to a Swiss man, it took me 5 years before I became officially Swiss. So I was considered a foreigner when I arrived, and they tend to give their jobs to Swiss people. In fact, I believe employers, if they're hiring somebody, they have to prove that they offered the job to 3 Swiss people and they were rejected, and then they could offer it to a foreigner. And so, the workforce is the Swiss people are well employed, and then people from other lands can also work there, and they do, but at a restricted level. So it's just interesting to mention that. So I was 33 actually by the time I really moved to Switzerland, and 30 was like the cutoff for going to school and so on. So I needed something to do, and going to German classes was certainly one of them. But that wasn't enough to keep me entertained for forever. So I decided to keep my ties really close with the English-speaking community, and especially the American community. And I liked whatever. At the time, I knew a lot about different colleges and universities in the U.S., and so I joined something called the Educational Advising Service. It was in the same building as the consular agent in Zurich, and it was good. A lot of Swiss people wanted to go to the U.S. for education, and so they would come and ask questions to me and a team of volunteers. I was not the only volunteer there, and it was good. When I started, I really enjoyed it, but I noticed that it needed some help. Things just were not quite right, and just things needed to be tweaked to make it seem a little bit more professional, a little happier place, whatever. And so I moved in and I started investing and made it a special little home. A nice place to go and get information and whatever. I tend to like to take on that leadership role. I don't know, it sort of comes naturally. So, of course, I was president of the Educational Advising Service for the 1.5 years I was doing it. And then I was pregnant with... When did I start there? I worked off and on. So I was pregnant with Kai there, and then I left. And then I came back with Jesse. But there I don't think I was president. And then what happened? Then September 11th happened. And then I think the agency, the consular agency, was getting threats. And I didn't feel, being a pregnant woman, that it was a good idea for me to be there. And then after she was born, I didn't want to leave her motherless, so I stopped working there because they were getting threats on, I don't say regular basis, but enough, where I didn't feel safe anymore going and doing my volunteer work and helping out, so it was a shame because I really enjoyed it. But, when you're a mother, you have to think of other things, and I just didn't want my daughter to be raised without me. So I took myself out of that, and then I started getting involved with my local mothers groups out by me where I was living. And there was a town mothering group that also had like an English mothers meeting every Friday or every other Friday. So I started going there with my daughter, and then we found like a Gymboree sort of class, but at the time we didn't have Gymborees in Switzerland. There was actually nothing organized, but this British woman had organized something. And I went to her sort of mom and kids gymnastics thing where you did songs together and stuff. It was a lot of fun. But then her husband got, his contract was done, so then they moved back to England. And I decided I didn't want the gymnastics things to end, so I bought all her equipment and continued to do it on my own at first, and then I brought it into the German and English speaking group at my local town and called it Mini Muki Turnen, which is sort of mini, of course. Muki is mother and kid gymnastics. And it was fun. It was for the ages of 9 months old until about 3 years old, until kids maybe start going to like a play group or something. So I was doing that and teaching and spreading sort of English and just encouraging mothers and kids to play together, actually, is really what it comes down to. Creating that bond between the two. Then I was also hosting like big events, like a Halloween event. At the time, Halloween was not really well known in Switzerland. It is now. It's practiced more and more every year, but at the time it was not practiced. So we started having our own little English-speaking Halloween at the place, and then it got bigger and bigger. Then New Year's, I also hosted some New Year's parties there for moms and kids. And moms, whoever the caretaker was, parent-wise. We did have a few au pairs that came with the kids. And yeah, sometimes that's okay, but it's really meant to be a bond between the mother and the child and to bring mothers together so that moms can talk with moms and kids can be together and stuff. But ultimately it worked. It was, a combined effort. And there was a team of other English-speaking moms who were also very involved, especially one from Australia. And yeah, it was a good thing, good way to introduce cultures and stuff and invite people to get involved. And we had also a lot of German-speaking moms and kids who joined in, who wanted to help their kids learn English, and yeah, so overall it was really good. Then, as you know, Jessie got sick with 3 years old, and that sort of ended that mini Mookie turn-in thing I was doing. And I had to focus on her, and I did. And, the first time was very serious, and so I was really focused on her. The second time, she only had the leukemia in a small part of her body. So, we were a bit more confident. We caught it soon enough and everything, which was great. But she had already started first grade, and we didn't want her to slow down. So we got as many people involved with keeping her up to pace with her fellow classmates and keeping them also in contact as much as possible. So we started they sent first a letter to her, saying, we wish you, good health and everything. And then we responded with a thank you and like a word puzzle or something. And then they responded back with something, and then we had this nice little back and forth, different things. So we would do puzzles, word searches. Then we would do Sudokus and all sorts of cute little activities. And I think it was either every Friday or every other Friday. I can't remember, but it was good for everybody, to keep contact. It was great. So that was my volunteering then, was to organize these little things, whatever the greeting would be for that week or something. I think at that time too, I started to decide I wanted to try to write a little, write about art and the fact that art matters. At the American Women's Club in Zurich, we have a booklet that's called Round Robin, and in it we have different stories from different American women, or also the American Women's Club invites also international women to join too, so it's not just Americans. But anyway, so people have written all sorts of different things. I think the first matters that I got inspired by is the person writing the column about taking care of the planet and things like that. And her column was called Green Matters. So, being green is about being, thinking about the planet and taking care of it and everything. And then somebody else was writing a different matters column. And then I thought, well, I'm going to write art matters because art does matter. So I did that. I wrote Art Matters, and I did that for about 2 years, I think. It's something I could do at home and, just get it in. I did my best to, catch all the information and the important things going on in Switzerland for our American or international English speakers readers, and it was fun. I'm not particularly talented with English. I almost failed English several times in high school, so English is not my strong suit, and you can probably catch a lot of spelling mistakes and everything. I have dyslexia, so it just, but with modern technology and what do you call it, spell check and even grammar check now, things are getting better for us folks who have dyslexia. It really works good. There's a train going behind me, as you hear. Sorry about that, but I can't control everything. As you see, I did rearrange my things because I noticed you couldn't see all the ones that I had hung out. I think you can see most of them now. I'll do that a little, and you can really see. So these are more things that matter. Lots of things matter. It doesn't make one less than the other. It just means that we need to look into these things because they're important. And what might be more important to me is maybe not as important to somebody else, but that's also okay. We all have our personal experiences, right? So getting back to volunteering, so I was writing this art column for a bit, and also for free. It was just good for my mind to do something. I got also then involved with with organizing. I tried to find artists out by me who are English speakers. And unfortunately, I didn't find a lot, but I had a few people who were not from Zurich who were artists who got involved. So I had a little art group going on, and we tried to do things, but there was somehow it was more disorganized than organized. But I did that for about a year and a half, and I finally gave up on that. The one thing that I started with a different organization, not the American Women's Club, but the Zurich International Women's Association. What number are we up to? 15? Okay. So the Zurich International Women's Association, which is another wonderful women's group in Zurich. There you have women from all over the world. It's really impressive. English is the common language, but then we also have a lot of women who speak Spanish. So then there's a big Spanish group, and that's Spanish from all over. Anyways, I didn't start this, but I found it to be really a great thing. It's called English Around the World.